I reviewed the V6 Blazer, so now let's take a look at the turbo 4-cylinder Blazer. The Larry Schmiller Chevy here in Murray is providing us with this car. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Powering this is a turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 9-speed automatic. Fuel economy is 22 around town, 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 228 horsepower and then 258 pound-feet of torque. If you're looking for more straight-to-the-point reviews like this, make sure you subscribe. Now, taking a look at the hood, you can see really sharp, angular lines, and then you do have a split light design. I'll kind of show that more in a second. Here's a better look at that. So you can see the kind of accent lighting up top of the actual headlight cluster below, and then this is all blacked out. The contrast between the black and the white in this car actually looks really good. 235 by 65 by 18 for the tire and wheel setup. You can see the wheels are all blacked out. Pretty chunky fender flare too. And then you got the blacked out mirror cap. The Blazer badge is also blacked out. And then here's the side profile of the car. You can see the contrast again. The roof kind of looks floating because you've got that little part that's blacked out and then the pillar. We've got a lock and unlock function, remote start. You got the opening for the hatch. Chevy bow tie there on the back. The seats do fold down flat, which is great packaging, and you actually have these little tabs to throw down the seats from the rear, which is very helpful. A lot of cars don't have that. Spare tire underneath. And yeah, I mean, this is big. This is like a Grand Cherokee competitor when it comes to the sizing. And then the liftgate is power with that. Look how the taillights kind of arc across. We've got all the rest of the badging blacked out too. And that'll cap things off for the exterior. Let's now take a look at the interior. Soft touch here, down below too. This has the cloth seats here. And then this is what you do to throw the seat down, by the way. Kind of a weird positioning. The load floor is a little bit higher, so my knees get pushed up just a little bit. It's not uncomfortable though. Storage pocket. We've got some vents in the back, USB ports. And then headroom, even though it's pretty sloped on the outside, headroom's pretty good. Keyless entry for up front, and let's check it out. Blind spot monitoring, just regular windows, and then soft touch-ish here. Still pretty hard. And then this is actual like soft touch. We do have automatic for the front window, your mirror adjustments, and then that is for the lift gate to set it to a different height. And then the driver's seat is power, the passenger seat's manual, but the driver's seat also has lumbar support. Now take a look at the steering wheel. Kind of nice with the trim. Radio controls in the back. On the front face, got controls for the center. Cruise control down the other side. Regular stocks on the back too. Mostly analog cluster. You do have a little screen there in the center. You can see different bits of info. Pretty nice. Just a backup camera in reverse trajectory lines. And look at that, you can switch between the two. That's the rest of the infotainment system. Camera's not going away. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It says Chevy's slightly older unit. I think it's still good. It's got great response time. You notice there's physical controls all around, including for the glove box. This is one of the first cars that's like, yep, let's do the glove box, not a handle, but a button. Analog controls for the climate. You've got dual zone climate, and you notice heated seats. And yes, you twist that for the temperature. Kind of a fun tactile thing. If you guys remember, the Camaro had the same thing. Phone charging pad with some USB ports. Shifter for the 9-speed. Plus and minus to shift the gears yourself. Cup holders here. And then we've got some more shortcut buttons for like parking sensors. This is the drive line / drive mode. So you've got like your sport mode and off-road mode. But it's in dual drive right now. You twist it, you can go into all-wheel drive. Center console. Nice trim here. We've got more on the dash as well. And then getting pretty good headroom. 2026 Blazer 2 LT cloth all-wheel drive, 42,215. Let's take this out and see how it performs. Let us shut off. 2.0 turbo. I like the V6 more. Right off the bat, we'll start with that. Because it's true. The V6 is just, it's a nice engine. And especially in today's world of turbo everything, it's very refreshing to have a smooth NA V6. But turbo's got torque. It does save you a bit of money. I'm curious to see how long this Blazer lasts. Like, you know, if Chevy's gonna keep making it. What I kind of see the market shift is, I think there's still demand for stuff like this size. I think that the problem is that everyone wants like off-road style now. So if Chevy just literally did the Blazer again and then just, and I know everyone's gonna be like, they got to do body on frame, solid axles, and I agree. I do think that Chevy should have like a Bronco / Wrangler competitor, but I do think that there is a big market for unibody, boxy, off-road styled vehicles. Again, look at the Honda Passport. Those are doing well. Land Rover Defender, right? Those are still doing really well. I mean, that's like half of Land Rover's business now, I think, here in the US, or maybe even more. So there's a lot of demand for that. But this drives well. Again, independent suspension all around. Excuse me. Unibody. It's a comfortable ride. The turbo seems to be doing pretty well. Yeah, braking smooth. Let's see. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. This thing drives well. It really does. The seats are actually, these are some of the most comfortable Chevy seats I've been in, funny enough, that are cloth. That's actually kind of funny. It's a nice drive. So, in conclusion, I guess I reviewed 2 demo cars today. This one has 3,000. I just realized that. This one's got over 3,000 miles too. Interesting. You know, same thing with the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I don't really care. I don't really care what automakers name cars. I care more about, well, I do care to an extent. Like, you know, I don't think that, like, I think the 2LT cloth is like a silly package name. If they want to use a Blazer name, yeah, not a smart idea, but who cares? I just care about how the car drives, and this does drive well. This is actually a good SUV. It's got good space. Again, the V6 is kind of my preferred setup. I just think that since they released this, the market shifted so much. When this first came out, you know, people wanted kind of like sporty looks and everything, and there's some people that still want that. But now, because cars are so expensive, people want value, and off-road is perceived as value because you can do more with the car. Like with this, it's a runaround car, and you can put people in it and put stuff in it. If you've had an off-road capability to it, it's like, okay, I can daily drive this, and I can take people around in it, and I can go on adventures with it. So even if people never go on those off-road adventures, just the perception of the vehicle being able to do that, it adds value in the mind of the buyer. It's why people are willing to pay so much money for Toyota 4Runners. Like a 4Runner SR5 is a very basic vehicle, and those things are pushing 50 grand now. People are paying it. Why? Because exactly what I just said. So I think if Chevy doesn't want to spend the money in making a, you know, Colorado-based SUV that would compete against the Bronco and the Wrangler, they should at least make this boxier with the style. If they want to sell them, I think it could. And the thing is, that's a niche that's not being filled very much right now. Jeep used to fill that niche very well with the Grand Cherokee, but the new Grand Cherokee currently does not have a Trailhawk package, and the other problem is the Trailhawk's just always been too expensive. It's always been too expensive. So there is this big gap in the market of cool, boxy looks, some off-road capability, again, what the Honda's doing, you know, and more affordable. Like if they released a cool, boxy unibody Blazer, started at, you know, $30-something thousand, maybe topped out max at, you know, high 40s, maybe 50, that actually do really well, I think. So let me know your thoughts.